do not sweat, but make sure you're layered.
Wow.
Run fast. But if you sweat, once that wind hits you, it could be like so quick hypothermia hits you.
How is this
run a marathon,
possible?
not sweat, be layered up.
Exactly.
And so I was like, sign me up.
Thank you, everybody, for joining into the podcast. I have Ashley Paulson here. She is an ultra athlete, an ultra marathon runner, a professional paid goer. And she's always happy. The first time I met you, I felt this. I need to know who this girl is. She's making me smile.
You're
and just
so cute.
looking at her and feeling her. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
This is so nice. And
So
just to spend time with Erin.
Yeah,
Because you make me feel the same way. So thank you.
Thanks, girl.
I felt the same. That energy.
Thank you. Yeah, it takes something special for someone to be able to just smile all the time through life, laugh, and create so much joy, and then be so fit and let's see, what's the word I'm even looking for? Just productive in athleticism.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell me, have you always been this happy?
I feel like I have my entire life. I've been a happy girl.
I love that.
My dad has always called me his happy girl, and he still does to this day. He's almost 80 years old, and I don't get an Ashley. I get a, how's my happy girl? Or, hey, happy girl, it's dad. Or,
So
it's always happy girl.
Always.
And so.
And your siblings know you the same too?
Yep. Oh, yes.
I love that. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a good relationship with your family?
Yes. I mean, we have a huge family, so to stay super close with all of
siblings?
them, there's 11 total.
Oh yeah, that is a big family.
Yeah. And so we're scattered, 8 girls and 3 boys, and so we try to get together as much as we can. But most of us are in Utah. But
do they run too?
some, but not like I do.
Not like you do.
No, not like I do.
What got you running?
I would see my dad every morning. I mean, growing up in Utah, I mean, you get all the weather. You get the heat, you get the snow. It didn't matter. He was up at 5 a.m. running before we had breakfast together as a family every morning around 6:30, and he'd already done his run for the day.
Okay.
And hit to my dad, and he will still say this: running can cure so much. Like if we had boy problems, we'll go for a run. You've got this problem, go for a run. You've got acne, go for a run. And that's. My dad still is like, oh, they just need to go for a run. And so I use that all the time too. I'm like, oh, somebody's unhappy. I'm like, they need to go for a run.
And you felt that the first time you ran, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh gosh, no. The runner's high is definitely something that you don't feel. Most people don't feel the very first time.
Okay.
It's hard because it's so hard.
Tell me about the runner's high that everybody talks about, because
have you ever had it?
I felt really great running, like where I'm in the sweet spot where I'm like, I could do this all day.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's more just like, it could be for you. I think everyone's so different.
Okay.
And my running high has been so different from years past, and now it's different feeling in different areas, and it's a different hurt.
Okay.
Sometimes the high is like, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad. And that was amazing that I was able to hold that pace, and it hurt so bad. And I did it. And that's a high.
What part of your body hurts so bad when you're in the moments?
My lungs.
Your lungs.
My lungs. That's just breathing hard. And just
Okay.
like,
we just bioscanned you before this, and respiratory did come up for you because you've had pneumonia in the past.
Yes.
So the lungs hurt when
they
you reach
hurt. You're just like.
But when you break past that, you get the high.
Yes, the high of like, oh my gosh, I just did something so hard.
Okay.
And that maybe you question, and you did it. And there's
do you
high
cry?
in that.
Do you cry?
I have on certain races, like I did when I qualified for the Olympic trials.
Oh, wow.
I cried. I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like,
you qualified for the Olympic trials. That's huge, Ash.
Thank you.
How long ago was that?
I went in 2020.
Amazing.
So that
not very
was
long ago.
No, not too, like a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'd love to get back there. I'm getting older, but I don't feel like it's out of my reach. So.
I don't think so. And we were just even discussing this when we were down at the plaza, how I was telling Ash, I'm like, Ash, let's try to just this next little marathon. Let's try to like change a diet and see if we can get you feeling like, I don't know, like
different.
While we age, like getting into those Olympic trial areas and those things that create so much sustainability as we age, but youth and like bringing back regeneration as you
I know.
such an
I'm really excited to give it a try. Your
Changing the diet.
your nutrition plan for me. I'm
And
nervous too.
This was cute. She was like, we'll do this next race. I'll try your nutrition plan on my next race because this next race, it doesn't matter. I don't need a win. So we're going to try it out on this one. And I was like,
That's
okay.
a good race to do it at.
Yes,
It's one of those things that's like, if I need to run to the bushes every 10 minutes, then
it's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. She's like, I don't need to win this race. I'll try it. So I
Who's the
thought that was
best person
so cute.
to try something new on is myself. I even training plans and stuff. I'll try it on me first. But I feel like with this day and age, we are able to prolong our prime.
Yeah.
And with something like that you're wanting to do with me with like the bioscanning, see what my body needs and changing up my nutrition, that's one more step to prolonging my prime. I'll be 44 this year.
Yes.
That's not old, but it's still like to be winning races and stuff like marathons and stuff.
Incredible.
It's getting older. It's getting up there to try to qualify for the Olympic trials. And that's a sub-6 pace for 26.2 miles. Can somebody at 45 do that? I think they can.
I think so.
And I think with stuff like this, we can get there. It doesn't happen as often, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. Let's try it on me.
Yeah. And I just there was a study that said the prime in an athlete's life is from 35 to 45.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so I'm like,
1,000%.
you're right in your prime.
And I'm hoping it's not at 45 is where it ends. I want to continue to prolong that. And I feel like we can. There's so much out there, so many different things that we didn't have back in the 80s and stuff when my dad was running hard.
Yeah.
And so.
Okay. And speaking to, because Ashley this is what really intrigued me and got my head kind of processing Ashley so deep is she just ran 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 different continents.
Yes.
So let's speak to that just a moment and everything that had to go along with the recovery after that. But talking about that.
Okay, that was a dream race. It had been on my bucket list to go to all continents and do what I love. And what I love is to move my body, whether that was like through a triathlon or I never thought really a marathon, but I was like, I saw this ad on Instagram. I know I'm a sucker for Instagram ads. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 7 marathons in 7 days on all 7 continents.
This is your kind of Instagram ad.
I know. The algorithm is amazing, right? It knows me.
This is an ad for you, Ash.
It didn't come up for you?
No.
That's weird.
That is so great. Holy moly.
I was like, there's an actual race, an event for this. I thought I'd have to do that on my own or go there to these places on my own.
What was it called?
It's called the Great World Race.
The Great World Race. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How many people were doing it?
There was about 55 that did all 7.
So that's a small group. You guys
it's small.
Get comfy. You kind of become family after that.
You totally do.
Wow.
Because you're on the same airplane. Because it's chartered plane, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to get through TSA and Delta and stuff like that. We've got it all chartered so that
all planned
if
out.
there is like delays, which things came up. We had to bump it up 24 hours earlier because of the weather in Antarctica.
Wow.
Yes, Antarctica. We got to run in freaking Antarctica.
Wow. How was that feeling? For what's the feeling inside as you're in Antarctica halfway through a marathon?
I was on a high.
Okay.
I mean, we talk about the runner's high.
Yes.
I was on a high, and I live in St. George for a reason.
The desert.
Because I love heat. I love the sunshine, and I love small clothes. I like everything that's not Antarctica. I mean, how many layers can we put on?
Yeah.
And you have to wear eyewear because the rays from the sun hitting the ice and stuff is going to affect your eyesight. It could actually blind people. And so you have to wear eye gear. You have to have headgear. And the thing that I had read that stuck out to me the most, or the podcast that I listened to, do not sweat, but make sure you're layered. But run fast. But if you sweat, once that wind hits you, it could be like so quick hypothermia hits you.
How is this
run a
possible?
Marathon, not sweat, be layered up.
Exactly.
And so I was like, sign me up.
You're like, wait. we're going to try.
Yeah. Why
I'm going to try
not?
not to sweat
Yeah.
in Antarctica in my sweatsuit.
In my
Basically,
15
right?
layers.
Yeah.
But we got there
Wow.
on a beautiful day. It was super calm. It was negative 16 degrees,
Wow.
which sounds miserable.
Yeah.
But most of that is wind chill from I'm bumping my mic. Sorry, I use my hands so much. It's the wind chill that will
Okay.
make it feel so much colder. And it
Okay.
wasn't bad.
Oh, you had
we
prime weather.
We
in
got amazing. The
Antarctica.
sun was out.
Okay.
And the ice on each side of like the runway, like this 6-mile runway that they planned for us was just gorgeous. It was like this deep blue,
Amazing.
like don't step off the runway, you will fall.
Oh,
But it was
wow.
gorgeous. It was
Okay. So, and is that you're in Antarctica wearing 15 layers? How much of a pace difference is that for you in that race?
And that's what that one was, such the unknown.
Okay.
The fastest person that I had ever done it, the fastest female anyway,
Yeah.
was 3 hours and 48 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so this is going to be
Yeah.
probably the hardest one in my mind, thinking, okay, even though I still have 6 more after this has got to be different, running on ice with the weather, the chill. It was the unknown. I had no idea. So my goal was to hopefully break that record. You know, like, can I do it? Because there's no training for Antarctica when I live here in St. George.
Right.
How am I supposed to go like, oh, let's simulate race day? You can't really do that.
Did you, tell me.
So people are like, how did you train for it? I'm like, I didn't. You just have to up here. No, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And so we get off the airplane. We have 8 hours from the time we land to the time we have to take off. There's a time limit for everybody.
Okay.
And there's an 18-year-old out there to an 81-year-old.
Wow.
We are spread across the board. How cool is that,
Yeah,
right?
that's very cool.
18
That's
and 81.
really cool.
So 80 freaking one, you guys. Come on.
That's
we can
amazing.
do it. And so I didn't really know how to pace myself, but I knew it was a good day. So I'm like, let's just try to hit like 7:30 pace. Because
Okay.
it's not too much to
That's
like make me
amazing.
sore, but enough to like be pushing.
Wow.
Maybe I was going to blow up. I didn't know, but I felt really good. So I just maintained that
Okay.
the whole time. And I stayed pretty steady. I was really nervous if I needed to go to the bathroom because
Did you win the race?
I did.
Oh
I
my
did.
gosh, you won it?
I did actually.
Yeah, you won it. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
I did. Yes, we got that record.
That
we got
is-
the,
yeah.
the world record for Antarctica.
That's
so that was
so
really cool. I did
cool.
a 3 hours and 18 minutes or 17 minutes in Antarctica.
So that you even beat it by a ways.
Yeah. There was quite a few people that did that day,
Good
which was a lot of other
job.
girls got. I think 3 other girls got that time. Or
Did you win any of the others?
I did a few.
Wait, how many? So you go
3?
to run all these with others, and you end up winning 3 of them.
Yeah,
That's
but that wasn't
huge.
like. I guess I did have a goal. I wanted to break the record,
Yeah.
and so. But then meeting these women that were out there, these strong women that were really solid athletes, like Olympic athletes. And, I was like, this is amazing. And we ran quite a few
Wow.
of the miles together and just would help each other out. Like, I'm not kidding. I'd pull chapstick out of my bra and we pass it down the way. And somebody would grab water and pass it down the way. So it became like
You're
this.
just running together,
It's
not
not
so
a
much
competition.
racing.
It's
Yeah.
like, let's help each other get to this. Like, our second race, we stayed together the whole time and crossed the finish line holding hands.
Oh,
Our third race,
that's so
same
beautiful.
thing. There was, instead of 5 of us, there was 4 of us. Same thing. We had a crazy headwind and we would alternate. Like, who was in front? Okay, like, Ashley, it's your turn to take the lead. Okay, got to gear up. But next round is I get a little break because
Yeah.
everything is loops.
Do they say that happens usually every time?
No, they had never
I was
seen
gonna
anything
say,
like it.
because isn't usually people want to
You're-
race and win and say, see ya?
Yeah.
But you guys
And it just
created
became
a family.
It became a different event
That's
because
really
we
cool.
weren't racing. We just wanted to, like, let's get this done together.
And not only, and you broke records doing
all of us,
it.
which was
So-
amazing. Like,
so there you go.
I think there was 4 women that broke the overall time of I think it was a 3:25 average for all 7 marathons in 7 days.
That's
And I think there's 3 or 4 of us that broke that,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
that's really cool.
And I think we did that because
love
we
that.
were
Banded
we stuck
together.
together for so many of these miles. And it was actually
Powerful.
really a thing to come home with. A world record is awesome. It is, but what am I going to do with that?
Right. Yeah.
It's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But now I've got these women in my life, these women that are truly cheering for you. And you know as well as I do, that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of like real people that are cheering for you. They're like, oh, good job. But then behind your back, they're like, oh, but she's this or she's this. And these were genuinely like women that were wanting us all to succeed and wanting to finish together. So we decided as much as we could, we would stay together and get through this. And that's exactly what we did.
Have you had a lot of that trauma of jealous women that are just,
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Just as you rise and do your thing, they don't understand it.
Especially as you become better.
Yeah.
And people that you've ran with or trained with in the past that they're fine with where they are, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to go a little faster, I'd be like, oh, well, you just can't stay. You have to go too fast. You have to do this, or you have to you just always have to outrun the group. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily the case. I just have different goals right now. Yeah. And so I'd start training on my own, and you'd get these group of women that are like, oh, well, now you're too good to run with us. And I'm like, that's not how I feel. It's just I want something more out of this right now instead of just working out.
Yeah.
I want to see what I can grow to be. And so you kind of find, even though they weren't meaning it in a bad way at first, you feel that.
Do they cheer you on now?
Some,
good.
For sure, some.
Good.
But there's still some that I'm like, oh, I know how you really feel about me and how my successes in racing and how my dedication and determination has brought me such different success and different people acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And they're still doing the same thing, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
What they're doing isn't a bad thing, except for now they kind of hold on to something that I've pushed past.
What would you say? Do you do any therapy work to? I mean, let's talk about all the therapy work you must do after all the races and all of the things that. Oh, and when you got done racing on the 7 continents, you came home. Were you injured?
I was.
Okay.
On day 6, I woke up. Nothing had happened the day before. In fact, I had my best race, but I didn't hurt or anything. I ran a sub-3 on race 5, which was amazing. They were progressively getting faster.
Okay.
And that's exactly the goal that I wanted. I'm like, okay, great. Race 6, I want it a little bit faster than that.
Yeah.
And race 7, I wanted it to be the best one.
Yeah.
So you're holding back enough to feel good for the next day, but still pushing. Anyway, it was a really tricky experience out there. And day 6, I stood up.
Yeah.
I'm on the airplane. We've got this private jet, lay down bed. So I've got my compression boots. I've got my Theragun. I've got all the things that I'm using to help recover.
Yes.
Feel good. And I could not put any weight on my right side. It's almost like I've fallen, but nothing had happened. There was no pain building up to it. Nothing leading that.
What would happen if you put weight on it?
It would just collapse.
Wow.
It was sharp
dead.
pain. It was, just shooting pain through my whole body and
all the way down to your feet.
Mm-hmm. And through my spine and just.
Okay.
I don't know. I was like,
were you crying? Was it that bad?
I hadn't cried. Yet at that point because I just didn't know.
And you had one more race to still run.
Two more. So this is the morning of race 6.
Okay.
So we still had the marathon that day. And my husband was sitting 2 rows back on the airplane. And I kind of used the chairs to crutch myself over to him. And he was kind of sleeping. And I nudged him and I'm like, honey, I can't put any weight on my right side. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like,
you're
watching
I'm
everybody.
Nonchalantly just dying over here.
And I was like, I can't. I can't put any weight on it. And he's like, okay, you'll warm up. It'll be fine. I'm like, it will. This is weird. This is not a pain that I know. And I have no idea what's happening. And sure enough, I was limping. He was helping me off the airplane and hours are going by. We're about to start the race and I got it worked on with a massage therapist. I had a biomechanic guy there kind of firing things up. He's like, okay, if we can't get your hip to work, we're going to make sure your glute works extra well today. And they both were beating me big time. I don't even know exactly what was happening, but it was an hour of torture.
Wow.
And I stood up and I was fine.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was a
Good.
miracle. And that's one thing I said to him. I'm like, I believe in miracles. Let's make this miracle happen. I've got 2 more of these things.
Wow.
Like I can get through 2 more marathons.
Chills. Okay.
And it was incredible. I had a great race. It was our hottest race. It was 103 degrees
Wow.
with humidity in Columbia. And we
Okay.
all stuck together, all the girls, because we wanted our last one to be our fastest.
Did they all know what was going on with you?
They did, because
Okay.
everyone had seen it. I mean,
Okay.
it's a small airplane. Everyone could see what was happening. And they saw the massage therapist working on me. They saw the biomechanic guy, which actually he was a racer as well. So he gave up his
Okay.
time that he was going to go race. I mean, he did race,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
instead of prepping for his race, he was
Wow.
working on me.
So that
and
you could race
it's
too.
crazy how things come back in full circle.
I love that.
I was like, no, you need to focus on your race. And he looks at me, he's like, my husband was out there and my husband had helped him quite a bit out on the courses, helped him get through some of the races and different things that he had said
Oh, wow.
to help him get through his races. And he's like, look, I know Matt wouldn't have asked me for any help if you didn't really need it. So as my gift for what Matt has done for me, I want to help you.
Oh, thank you,
And-
Matt.
I know, right? And he's amazing. Like you've never met Maddie, but he is at all of my races pretty much.
He just comes. He
And he
tell us
knows
what he does for
he,
you.
He can like read what I need. Like if it's
Okay.
hard love,
Okay.
or if it's just like, honey, I know you're hurting. You're giving it all you can. Like
Soft
you
love or
know,
hard love. Like,
yes,
let's go, or come here for a hug.
yes.
Okay.
And he can just read people like that
Oh,
too.
I
Not
love
just
that.
me, but he can read people, and it's
And he has all
really
your gear for you,
he
all your
does.
food for you,
And
all your
not just for
things.
me. He was doing that for every athlete. He was incredible. He was not just
So
out there supporting me, and everyone saw that. And it just came back. His kindness came back to help me to get me through this next race. And I felt great. Felt so good. I'm like, okay, I could get through one more. Amazing. But I woke up the next day and it was 10 times worse.
Okay.
Like I was like, okay, I've got one more. Just get me through one more. So I had him and both of those guys working on me again, and it just was not hitting again. It was the most painful race I have. This is a lot to say too, because I've done a lot of different races, but it was the most painful race I've ever done in my life. Highest heart rate, not just because of fatigue, but because of that pain.
The stress of your
Every
body was-
step was just shooting
What
pain
was the worst pain you felt? Like where?
deep in my hip.
Deep in your hip.
Yeah,
Your
so
right hip.
I found out it was a labral tear.
Okay.
They didn't know if it was because I had a herniated disc in my back, which I do, but I'm like, this feels more like my hip.
Yeah.
And I just got lazy too. I did a lot of miles in 2024.
Yeah.
I did a couple 200s, like 4 or 5 100 milers. I don't even know how many marathons.
How long does it take you to do a 200-mile race?
It depends. Like
Wow.
you've got 120 hours to finish it.
Wow.
So both of them, one I did in like 58 hours.
What place did you take?
That one I took second. And that one was
You took second place? You are
Yes.
incredible.
Thank you.
I didn't.
Thank you.
How many people can even like sign up for a 200-mile race? Like how many people do that?
Oh gosh, this one I think there was maybe 800 of us. I don't even know.
That's a lot.
I don't even know. Maybe
And
that's
you got
lower.
second.
Maybe it's lower.
That's
I don't
amazing,
know.
though.
That one was just kind of a
That's pretty cool. Ash.
training run too. Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm like, whoa, girl.
It's one of those that I'm like, I still need to figure
How about
out
the 100-miler?
what
How
happened
long
on
does
those.
it take you?
Depends if it's road or if it's
Okay.
mountains.
Wow.
And even mountains are so different because some could be 30,000 feet of climbing and some could be 8,000
Do
feet.
you place
climbing.
well in these?
I did.
You're
I
gonna
have.
shock me?
I have. Yeah.
You-
I've done a few.
What do you place in these ones?
I haven't won all of them as of.
But
Actually,
you won some.
every 100 miler I've done, I have won actually.
Oh my gosh, you
All my
win
hundreds.
The hundreds.
I'm trying to think. I hope I'm not out speaking.
This is so amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
I have
what
won
was cute
all of them.
is I asked her before this started, I said, how many races have you done? And you're like, I don't know.
even know.
Oh, I don't even know. I go, okay, that's fine. That's fair. How many have you won? She doesn't even know. There's just so many. So I love it. And
it's not the reason I do
right,
it. And I
you're
know
just
people are
good
gonna be
at
like,
it.
"Ugh."
No, you're
I
just good.
love it.
Okay.
And I think that's
And what brought you
part
to
of-
loving it so much? Like, what was the moment where you were like, oh my gosh, I got to keep going. I love this. I won. And it felt so good. What was the feeling?
Well, I fell in love with it far before I was winning
Okay.
races. I think the reason I did start winning races is because of my love for it. Because I was so consistent. It's not like I was
What
like,
brought you that love for it that wanted to keep you going?
it was a very different challenge, and it was something that like I had in common with my dad that we didn't have a lot in common, but that was something like he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to run a marathon," and that was his thing. And so I feel like, especially we had a conversation earlier today, Erin and I, and I remember she said, "What did you say about?"
I said,
why
what?
I fell in love with it.
I said, what brought you to that place of just loving running so much? And you said, because it. What did you say?
It was
about your
the
dad.
way it came out was like, oh, it was an aha moment for me of like,
because your dad loved that. Your dad loved it, and that he loved seeing you.
So proud of me.
He was so proud of you, and you loved that attention,
that feeling,
that feeling
of being seen,
of being seen by your dad.
There were so many of us kids, and oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine what my parents went through with 11 kids. Could you?
No,
I've got 4,
not at all,
and I'm good.
11,
yeah, and so you just kind of fall into that little mix, and my parents were doing the best that they knew they could at the time, you know?
Of course.
And so it kind of made me feel seen, I guess.
I love that.
By
your dad.
And he's the one that like sponsored even my first Ironman. Like,
oh, that's beautiful.
He's like,
it bring you connection with him.
Just a different connection.
I love that.
So yeah.
Okay, so that's where the love for it really
and
came
like
from.
Oh,
your dad.
Your dad's proud of me. Oh, and it was just something so hard, and I had very low self-esteem growing up.
You were even saying during high school you were bulimic.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
It was more just like I felt like, well, maybe if I was leaner, you know, I could feel that love, or if I looked different, I would.
Were you overweight by any means?
Oh no! Oh
Not
gosh, no. I was the biggest out of my family, but they're all very, very tiny.
Okay.
Like, and so I would compare myself to my sisters, and they're just all these itty bitty things, and I'm like, and they would. It was kind of in our mind, like back then, like the Slim Fast. Remember Slim Fast days?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would be like, oh my gosh, I get the leftovers of my mom's Slim Fast. It's always like that 5 extra pounds.
Yeah.
If like my mom got that 5 extra pounds down, or my sister got 5 extra pounds down, and I'm third to youngest, so that's all I'm hearing.
Right.
Once again, I'm not bashing on the way I was raised. It's just all that was
the condition and the cycle, and what you were absorbing at the time, and what you thought you needed to do.
And so I'm like, if they need to, I need to.
So was anyone your other siblings bulimic, or any that you know of? No, just you.
Yeah.
Did your parents and family know? And
they did come to find out.
Okay.
Definitely came to find out.
Did they help you conquer it, get through it, or what helped you overcome that?
Let's see. It was more of like a threat of going to therapy.
Okay. And it worked.
Therapy is now very well accepted, but back I was born in 81, so 30 plus years ago, it's like you went to therapy, something's really wrong with you. You know, it wasn't like how it is now. It's like it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to talk about things. Yeah. You hold things in, and especially eating disorders, you don't talk about that. You don't talk about so much of these things that I'm an open book about, because I know that one of the reasons I went through what I went through is so that I could help others. And sharing my story of this didn't just take away some of my happiness as a teenager. It's actually different things as I've aged as an adult, like now thousands of dollars fixing my teeth, thousands of dollars in like gut health issues, and like
when we bioscanned you, it even
said my gut
about the gut. It was like it knew that you had an old disorder.
Yes, and that's how wild is that? Technology can sense that. Like that means there's still damage of something that was. I was 16, 17 years old, and even some in my 20s after I'd had my kids. Not a lot, not quite like
just trying
but that mental thing was always there. And just wanting to feel like if I am there, maybe I'll feel better about who I am. Maybe. And so running is actually given me that confidence too of like,
that.
I don't need to be a certain weight. I don't need to be, and don't get me wrong. There's still things that I'm like, in my head that I'm like, oh, I would love to fix this or that or this, that silly little things that it's not like I'm like, oh, everything is great. But I've got the confidence of like, gosh, I need food for fuel rather than like, okay, this is going to make me fat if I have these calories. I'm like, no, this is going to fuel me to get to the top of the mountain now.
Yeah.
This is going to fuel me so I can go run this marathon.
Okay.
If I don't eat this or if I throw this up, I'm not going to feel good.
Right.
Yeah, I might be like a few pounds lighter, but that's not the look I want. I want to feel strong and healthy and have that muscle now. And it's just a totally different mentality of my between food and my health journey. Because that's why I started running too. Was another reason was to stay lean.
Yeah.
But now it's different.
Okay.
It's like, hey, great. It keeps me lean, but it also I feel so good. And I want to look at a mountain and be like, I can run that.
I know.
I can run that.
So when we were talking before this, how often do you work out per day?
Oh, it really does vary.
Okay.
Like today was, I did an hour and 45.
Okay.
But yesterday it was 6 hours.
Okay.
It was, I'm an endurance athlete and I'm paid to do this.
Yes.
So it's like I need to be
you're sponsored. Who
good
sponsors
at the
you?
top of my game. I'm sponsored by iFit. That's actually a job that I work for as well, but they also sponsor my races.
I know. And I was looking on iFit the other day it's on their Instagram. It's an awesome Instagram to follow and to get athletic advice from and go do
and
this
training.
workout or that workout and training. Yeah.
Join us on the treadmills or the bikes and feel like you're traveling in the comfort of your own home.
Yes.
And
it's really
so like,
cool.
If I'm going up a 10% grade, your treadmill or your bike will automatically go up there. And so they pay me to go around the world and film these workouts to bring people around the world with me.
You were saying you just came back from Mount Fuji?
Oh gosh, no, that was a long, long time ago.
Okay, where did you just come back from?
With them, oh gosh, I haven't filmed anything. Canada was last year.
Okay, cool.
But we've got a big one. We've got a few big ones this year.
Oh, cool.
So
What's coming up?
I'm not allowed to say. I know they're so funny.
Excited
it's so funny. We can't announce it until we're there.
Sure. Okay.
So I gotta keep things under wraps. But it's amazing. So if I'm not in good shape, to go out and do that, like say they want me to go run Boston Marathon and be filmed, then so I need to stay in good shape for that. And also I race professionally and they like, that as well. So they sponsor those races.
When's your next race?
I have one next weekend, but that's not my big one.
That's the one that you're going to trial the
I'm going to try
puree.
Yes.
And dates and avocado puree.
All of the supplements I take, I feel has been holding on to inflammation and all of the sugars and stuff. And I'm not saying I'm not going to eat sugar ever. I'm just saying like I'm going to try something different on this one.
Yeah.
Trying that mashup avocado. And this one is just going out with athletes and not caring about my time.
Yeah.
And so see how I function. And then the week after that is one that I want to.
The week after that, what's that race?
It's called Jackpot 100.
Cool.
So that's 100-miler that I'd love to.
A jackpot. Do you win money at that one?
You do,
Ooh,
yeah.
That's fun.
So yeah, there's
how much do you win at Jackpot?
Money. I don't even know. There's not a lot of money in ultra running. That's why you have to get a sponsor. I'll be honest with you.
Okay. But you'll easily probably win that one.
Oh, not easy. It's never easy. It's never easy.
It's not easy.
It's not like, it's a win. There's always hard work. There's always that grit, that grind of, it's usually not even about the placement for me.
Yeah.
Because you can't control who's going to show up.
Okay.
You can control what you've trained for.
Yeah.
And I do very well with being like, this is the race I've trained for. If somebody's passing me or something, especially like early on, I'm not going to go chase them.
Your
it's
pace,
a long,
your
I
thing.
know what I train for. So like I do my race and sometimes that wins it. Sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, if we're close and it's a little bit past my pace, sure, I'll pick it up. But if it's just like a race like next week, I don't care what placement I take. But the week after that, if I need to push a little bit more at the end, sure. But
how hard is that for you to push a little bit at the end with everything that you do? It's just like, okay, we got to just Like, what does that
After
feel
100
like?
miles,
Yeah,
it's a
what does that
lot.
feel like?
It's a
Do you want
lot.
to cry? Do you want to throw up? Are you just like, gosh, I can't wait for a bath? Like, what are the
Bath.
thoughts? Right.
Most of the time, you want to brush your teeth
Okay.
because
You're
you
just
get
like,
all
I
of
can't
that
wait to
film
brush
on your
my
teeth.
teeth. Okay.
But I remember, have you heard of Badwater?
Mm.
135.
Oh, okay.
It's
like the race?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 135 miles and it starts in Death Valley.
Okay.
That's the second hottest place in the world.
Okay.
And you run through like Furnace Creek and you end at Whitney Portal. So you start at the lowest point of California and go to the highest. It's 135 miles and it's about 120, 130 degrees. And I did this one a few years ago. I've done it twice. And the first year I had no idea what I was doing. I mean,
did you train for it?
oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely trained for it, and it's road. And so in fact, you need to run on the white line so that your shoes don't melt to the asphalt. So, Amber Green, she's paced me in both of these.
Yes.
She came out and paced me in both of these.
No way.
Yeah. So
I love
Amber,
her.
yeah, I know.
Go
She's
Ams.
the
Thank
best.
you for
She's the
that.
best. But I
Oh my
remember,
gosh.
like, I was in the lead. I
Yeah.
was first female. I was the
Okay.
third overall. So two
Whoa.
guys were ahead of me. This is at mile 120. So I still have 15 to go. So you asked me this question. So this is, giving you a story. I hope you're okay.
I feel it deep. It's good.
And it's 2 miles of flat. And then the last 13 miles, you're going up Mount Whitney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's steep. It's wicked steep. And so my husband, they have to stay within 4 miles of you.
Yeah.
He comes out as I'm turning in, about to go up this climb with 2 miles flat. So excited that it's flat. And he looks at me. He's like, "Hey," he's feeding me, giving me these things. He's like, "I've got something to run by you." He's like, "You're doing great. You're doing amazing. You're in the lead.
Yeah.
And if you just keep this going, you're going to win it. Or if you want to dig a little deeper,
I just got chills.
you can go break the record."
Oh, whoa.
And I was like,
oh, more
oh
chills
my
are
gosh.
coming in.
And I'm like,
Whew.
he's like, "I know you're already hurting. You're already uncomfortable. You've already gone through all this. You've already gone 130
But he knows
degrees.
you're about to break
But he's like,
the record.
he's like, "I've broken it down. If you can pick up your pace in these next 2 miles to this pace and then up to Whitney Portal at this pace," he broke it all down. Thank
Wow.
goodness, because I don't do that.
Good job, Matt.
And he's like, "What do you think?" And I looked at him and I said, like, "What do I have to lose?"
Huh?
And he turns back to the
Chills
car
again.
and my sister and Amber's in there. He's like, "She's gonna try it." And the car just like, everyone's like, "Yes."
Oh, I love
and I didn't need to
that.
bump it up a lot, but it was already hurting and I was like already
Okay.
digging.
Oof.
And but I'm like, I could do a little bit more.
Okay. Whoa.
Just a little bit faster. But
what inside of you just is like, okay.
it was just like,
yes.
why not try? Why
love
not
it.
try?
I love
Like,
it.
I'm already hurting. What's a little
It's
bit
that
more
positive smile that
And-
you always have, girl.
And, thank
I feel
you.
it deep.
And
You're
there
like,
might not have been a
okay.
smile on that. No, there was at that time when he said that. I was like, "Oh no, but man, let's
Okay.
try."
I love that.
And I
Wow.
remember heading up the first hill. I was like, "I don't know if I could do this." He's like, "You need to do this mile at this pace, or you need to do the next 13 miles in this amount of time." I can't remember the time. And I said, I can't do that. And he's like, "Okay, can you do this mile in this pace?" I said, "Yeah, I could do this mile."
Okay. I love that you know.
And I was
Like,
like,
you
because I was just like,
know.
I was already just like, I'm like, "Oh gosh, heading up that hill." It's like, but so I clicked off that mile. He's like, "Can you do this next mile at this pace?" I was like, "Okay, I could do that." So I had to break it down mile by mile at that
I'm
point.
so impressed by him.
I know,
and
right?
your
His math
guys'
skills, what in the
effort
world?
to keep it going.
And I mean, this was my whole team. They were incredible.
Wow.
And get to the top and I see the finish line. You get to go across with your team. So it's the only time they can run with you. And at the last 100 meters. And I stopped right before the finish line. And I'm just like looking like, holy cow. And we didn't really know exactly what my time was, if I was going to break it or you knew it was going to be close. And I just stop and I look at it and I'm like, one more step and I'm done. Like, that was so hard. But I'm not ready for it to be over, but I am. But I'm like, and Matt, you see, there's this
What a
picture of him
feeling.
being like, "Cross the line, cross the line." And I'm like, but I just want to take it in too.
I love
And
that.
I ended up crossing and they're like, "You broke the record." And so I'm just like, I just melt. And yes, there was definitely tears, just crying. Like, how do you, like,
What a
because
feeling.
it's him too. It's
What a
not just,
feeling.
see, yeah, I'm like, "Ooh, get me emotional." Just get talking about him and
Oh my
his,
gosh.
he loves to see that.
My gosh.
And just those little that was a huge win. But he's like,
Wow.
why not? Just a little bit, dig a little bit more. So just when you think you can't,
I feel that in your
focus
heart
on that
so
next
big.
like half mile. Can you do a half more mile?
Oh,
Okay, try it. And so that's my biggest thing is break it down if you need to.
yeah.
Like break it down. Looking at the whole scheme, whole 135 miles, breaking the record was not even in my sights.
Wow.
But when you go and you have the support,
Yeah.
you have the people cheering, and you've got the courage to
Encouragement.
try
Yeah.
and to be okay. Like, okay,
That's
it
so
didn't
good.
work, but I wanted to know that I gave it everything. And I laid it all out there.
Wow.
That's exactly what we did. And that's come back to bite me sometimes on certain races.
Yeah.
But on certain, it pays off.
Oh, such
And so
good
you have to be
heart
willing to
energy.
fail in order to like succeed
Yeah.
too. And be okay with that. Be okay if you're judged. Be okay if,
Yeah.
people are going to come back and accuse you of
And
X, Y,
really,
and Z.
the only failure is if you quit.
Exactly.
Right? And you're not
Exactly.
quitting. You're continuing.
Yes.
It's just at this point, at this times, and sometimes we
Yeah.
win and sometimes we do. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't really go off
That
of like
is
a
so
a
good.
win. It's a
Wow.
time. It's a my race.
Wow.
It's a
And by doing that, you just happen to win them all.
well, not all, but,
But
it's a lot.
a
A
lot.
lot. And I feel like it's kept me in a healthy place mentally.
I love that.
To not just be like, okay, I've got to win. I've got to win. It's just like, hey, I know what I'm ready for.
Yeah.
I know what I could fight for. And I know at the end, there's always a little bit left that if I need to, I could grab a hole and dig in. Because I've seen it. I've done it. I've
So you
experimented
have a little
on
in
myself.
reserve.
Yeah, and
Or
we
you
all
find
do.
it.
Just like my car, you should see it. It's on way past empty. She's still going. It's still
You
got
and
me
my
here.
sister, they're like, we see how far we can take it. I get to where it's like a little past half. I'm like,
Oh
we're gonna
yeah,
fill up.
I can see you.
Because
Yes.
you never know what could happen.
I know, and see, I've been on empty since I left my
love
house.
that.
Like, no,
Okay.
it doesn't even tell me 1 mile left. It says just fill up your freaking tank. I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit more.
We can keep running. We can keep running. And kept asking you, where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel this in your body before the podcast? And you're like, my feet, my feet, my feet. Your feet talk to you constantly.
They do.
They are talking and they're like, let's go, girl. Let's
I've
run this
never
off.
had anybody ask me this question. And as I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, it is my feet. And then she's like, how many things did you list off of why it's my feet? I'm like, that's so bizarre. Like, I had no idea.
So
just the
good,
little
right?
things you could tap into. But yeah, my feet like to just.
They like to go.
They love it. And it really isn't just about the wins. I do love that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
That's fun, right?
It's
a good
it's a
feeling.
different high. But being out there, and that's why I do so many different races, like this race I'm doing next weekend. I want to be out there with the people
Yeah.
that are like-minded.
How often do you find that where athletes are just so heart-centered in it that they win because they're heart-centered in it versus they're training and they're like, I'm going to win?
I mean,
wonder if there's
you still get the
I know
people that
you-
are training and they're going to
Yes.
win, and that
Right.
mentality definitely. But I still say that hard work and grit is going to trump the talent any day. And so, like,
Yeah.
I've put in the hard work in just a different way that it doesn't seem so hard to people because they look at me and I'm smiling through it, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, she doesn't really know because like, look she's still smiling, but like it's tricking my brain to be like, oh, you're okay, you can keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some athletes that I look at. I'm like, if a Courtney DeWalter shows up at this race, I know unless she's got a really bad day, she's going to beat me, and that's okay. She's put in different time,
Yeah.
and she's got a very happy attitude too, and I love that about her. But there's some that are very serious, and they still go out and they can kill it and stuff. But I almost look at it and I'm like, but why? Like, it's just, they don't seem like they're having fun until they finish and they win it, and that's
for you. It's about
that's the
having
only
fun.
reason. And I'm like, and that's like
Yeah.
nothing. Well, in my mind, I wouldn't continue to show up
Yeah.
because I want to show up not just for a paycheck or a win. I want to do this
Just to feel
forever.
good.
And right now I'm blessed enough to be able to do it at an elite level.
I love
And
that.
I'm going to like do everything in my power to continue to do it at that level.
I have a question.
What's that?
When we're in, so it's so fun because sometimes she'll show up to the gym and we get to work out in class.
Yes, I love it.
And I'm curious, is class very, very easy for you? Or do you
Oh.
make sure to yeah.
Just like anything,
I'm
it is
kinda-
what you put in.
Yeah.
Like Could I go out and run a marathon and make it easy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. My body knows that distance. It can. Or can I make it the hardest thing I've ever done?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So same thing with classes. If I'm going to up my weight or up my speed, or they're doing 10 burpees, can I bust out 10 burpees? Sure.
Yeah.
But what if I wanted to do it at a record for me?
Yeah.
Then that's going to be super hard. And so whatever you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. And some days, most of the time, if I am going to a be hot class, it is because I just want to move and be with my friends in the heat.
Yeah.
And so I'm not giving it all that I could if I needed it that day to be hard.
Yeah.
I'm saving that for a run.
What else do you do during your workout days? 'Cause sometimes I see you in class, and I know, and then you go, you swim, and then you run, and bike and run.
So my background is a professional triathlete.
Okay.
So I've been
Do it all.
This is actually the first year I'm no longer professional as a triathlete.
Okay.
Because I didn't renew it.
Okay.
So I've been. That's
How
my
was
background.
that feeling?
It was amazing. It's
Cool.
amazing. I never thought I'd get to that point.
Cool.
And that once again was just staying dedicated and showing up. The consistency of what I did. My coach back then was like, he'd brought up being a pro, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. They're too serious. They don't have fun with it. And when I got my pro card, when I did great, and at this race, he's like, you earned it if you want it.
What gives you your pro card?
There's different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But it has to be a race. The way I got it has to be a race that there's professionals racing. And you have to win not just your age group, but overall the age groupers, not the pros. The age groupers.
Okay.
And so I had done that, and he calls me. He's like, guess what you just did? And I was like, nah, it was a fluke. I'm not that good. I'm like, it was a fluke. I just got lucky. And the next race, like 6 weeks later, again, I didn't just win it. I beat a ton of the pros too. And it was like by 45 minutes, the age groupers, and he's like, Ash.
And in that moment, you're like, okay, maybe I should consider winning. I'm winning pros.
I really didn't. It didn't cross my mind because I didn't want to take the fun out of it.
Okay.
Because I didn't think I would continue
you thought it would take the fun out of it.
Because that's all I saw from these pros. And being in the pro field now, I've seen it in different lights now for sure. And some of them do really have fun.
Yeah.
Before races. But in my mind, they were just so serious. And it's like, you don't talk to them. They've got the scowl on their face. And I'm like, that's not how I race. I race with a smile. That's what I'm known for. And I didn't want to change that.
Yeah.
My husband pulled me aside, and he's like,
you don't have to change
what
that.
do you have to lose? And I was like, I'd lose my passion for racing. And then he's like, well, don't change you.
Yeah.
Don't change it. Go out there with your glitter numbers, because you had to have numbers back then on your arms. I always glitter them up, and being my pink, and I didn't have pink hair back then, but I'd always have I wanted to still look
You're
cute.
a Leo. Let's just tell everyone you're a Leo.
I'm a Leo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you like to look cute. You like to dress up and adorn, and yeah, you are so cute. I love your hair. And so and so Matt was like, no.
He's like, don't change that.
Cool.
But he's like, for one, your hobby's freaking expensive. This will pay for it. He's like, do you realize the paycheck you would have gotten had you been pro at this race? Because it didn't matter if I beat these pros. I don't get that money.
Got you.
Still, the next pro does. The age groupers can't get the money. And he's like,
how much money would you have got? What is a check like that?
I can't even remember. This was back in 2015.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this.
And so I was like, and he's like, why not?
Yeah.
You have this door open in front of you. Why not see? And if you don't like it, go back to being an age
Does he run
grouper.
with you?
No.
Has he run marathon before?
He has.
Okay.
He has.
Okay.
But he doesn't really train for him. He'll just he's like, I just don't care to focus in that.
He's like, I'll just
very
cheer you
fit.
on.
And he's like, I want to know what you go through. So he's done an Ironman. He's done a double Ironman. He's done a marathon.
That's cool that he wants to know what you go through. He's like, I'll at least try it once to see what you go through.
And now he knows.
That's
and he's
amazing.
Like, that's your thing. But he's out there with a smile cheering me on.
That.
And he's always in a bright pink shirt just on race day. And
cool. You guys are a little
and
team.
not just helping me. He's helping
How long have you
a
guys
lot
been
of
married?
other athletes. 24 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. And you have 4 kids?
4 kids.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And your grandma?
I'm a grandma.
That to me is so shocking. I'm like, no way.
It's crazy. I need to put like a silver
You look
streak
like you
in my
just
hair,
turned
right?
18 or something.
Oh, stop. No, thank you. Thank you. No,
Yeah.
I wanted to put like a silver streak in my hair for my granddaughter. She's 7
Oh, you
months
can
old.
have a few of mine.
And
We'll
hey,
clip them in.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just
Thank
strip it. Just like I want more of like the tinsel.
Yeah, I've got plenty.
Silver. Yeah, just put it through. Okay, give me some. Just as
Oh,
like
but-
a little
okay.
granddaughter.
Yeah, what's her name?
Her name's Kova.
Cute.
It is. She's just a joy. She's living with me at home,
I love that.
with her mama, and two of my other kids are still home. One is out.
You have
wandering.
twins, a set of twins?
My twins, yes. One of my twinners gave me my grandbaby,
That's
and
cool.
they both are just adventure seekers. But for now, one of them is at home with me, being a little mama,
That's
and the other
cool.
one's still just off traveling the world. And,
Okay.
and then my youngest is 10.
Okay.
So 23, 10, we're scattered.
Great
And then
ages.
a newborn at home.
I love that.
So-
Oh, you got your hands full. You
It's
stay
fun.
busy.
It is.
And working out's your full-time job.
It is.
I love that. And when you got back from your race for the 7 marathons on 7 different continents in 7 days, and your right leg was wrecked, you did a whole bunch of weird. Let's go back to the therapy and all of the therapy that it takes to recover from that. I remember you walked in to be hot in a class, you were limping.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, are you all right? And you just were talking about what you were going through. And I suggested try cleaning out your colon and see if that helps recover any of the tissue, because the right hip appendix area is where heavy metals get lodged and stuck the most. And you were at that point like, I will try anything. You were so ready to get better in your leg.
Yeah. You kind of explained what we needed to do. And I was like, this is during the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, you were.
And
a
sweets
champ.
are that is a big part of holidays for anybody, I
Everybody,
believe, but
yeah.
like huge for me and even my whole life. Like I'm a sugar junkie, but I was so intrigued for one.
Yeah,
And then also at the point that I'm like, I don't care.
yeah.
This is my job for one. And if what you say might help, maybe it won't, but maybe it will.
Yeah.
It sure beats surgery.
Right.
And I knew there was a lot of inflammation. I knew something like that was going to help me. And I think you brought up inflammation. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what my husband had brought up the other day. Like my body's not allowing it to heal because of all the inflammation.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it was such a gift that you gave me for Christmas
I love
to
that.
have me come in every single day, do the
10
colonic,
days.
do the cleanse. And I feel the thing that kept me on this cleanse,
Yeah.
because I am not a dedicated person when it comes to diet. I have, yeah.
Yeah. Tell the listeners what your
I
average
believe
diet is.
You don't even want to know what I eat. Oh, you
This
don't want to know
blew
what I
my
eat.
mind, you guys. She's this ultra athlete, and she's telling me you're popping in a fritter right before your 100-mile race. I'm like, what? It blows my
I'm like,
mind.
quick calories. And she's like, wait, you're doing this as a professional athlete? I'm like, so is everyone else. But I know it's not, there's got to be a better way. I
Yeah.
know there's got to be a better way.
Eating,
But I've
yeah.
never stuck to any type of diet.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes it triggers things from my eating disorder.
Yes.
If I track things or weigh myself, or
You
so
still
there's
have
things that
those. Mm-hmm.
I definitely, which is crazy that, I mean, it's been so many years, but it's still, you hold on to
emotional
those little
processing.
triggers that I'm like, if I'm not at this weight, then that means I'm fat. And I know better.
So, Ash, where do you feel it in your body right now as we talk about that?
That was my stomach.
Stomach,
just
your
kinda,
digestion.
My stomach
Okay.
went,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So,
Okay.
doing
yeah.
a special diet makes me a little nervous, but
Yeah.
day one
Yeah.
on that colonic
Yeah.
and seeing what came out of me, this is 7 days before Christmas, and I've got 10 days. 7 days before Christmas, seeing what came out of me and being like, there's more. And this is just day one. And it fired me up. Like, I can do this. My husband has never, he said it multiple times. I have never seen you say on anything so strict in your life. I've never,
love
except
it.
for my
You knew.
working routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
You
knows
knew
I'll
you
stick with
needed
that.
this.
And I did. And seeing it was so amazing too.
Yes.
And I felt so good. Did I want to eat? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I want to have those cookies? Absolutely.
But
I
you knew
did.
you could later.
But I also knew like this was a gift I needed to give my body
Yeah.
for Christmas. And like felt so amazing, and just
I love that.
the energy I still had, even though I wasn't able to run still, I do believe with all of the things I was doing, the red lights, the hyperbaric chamber, if you have all of that inflammation in you still, it's not going to be able to heal like it could if I'm doing all those on top of it.
Compounding,
And so doing it all was just such a gift, and
I love that.
I'm back full force.
And you're back. Yeah, you were done and everything and all the therapies that you've done and the cleanse, and you're running. You're like, I don't even remember what day you're on where you ran. You were able to run like a mile or two, or like we were day 8.
On Christmas Day.
Okay.
I ran, I think, 3 miles.
That was such a big.
And it was no pain. But I just still wanted to be. So I'm like, Merry Christmas. And this was day 7 of the cleanse.
And that's Liver Day.
Yes, Liver Day. And ran Christmas Day and was just so ecstatic that was like my little gift to see if I could do it. And I could. I still wanted to be smart about it. Didn't go out and bust out a ton of miles.
Yeah. But have you ran a marathon since?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did one last Saturday.
Oh, okay. Did you win that one? Was that just for fun?
I did. It was, but it was a local one. So sometimes like when I win a local one, it's not like I'm like, yes, it's not a lot of people show up for them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be out there with the support, and I had a pace in mind, and I happened to win it. And so there was no pain.
No pain.
And the recovery was so fast too. And I think with this cleanse, it does help with recovery too, because you're not holding on to that inflammation.
Yes.
And so that's one thing that I'm like, okay.
Because the diet changed, because you're eating organic fruit in the diet.
I'm definitely, and I've incorporated so much more of that stuff.
I love that. Does it feel better? Do you feel better with the organic fruit incorporating more?
Well, yes, definitely. And I used to eat a ton of fruit, but I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And I just didn't eat as much. And so now it's back in like full force. There's always fresh organic fruit at my house, and
I love that.
My kids eat lunch every day and stuff. So it's something that I'm trying to incorporate in their lifestyle too, because it's
so important.
It's a wicked world out there. What's in the foods?
I know. And then we have to see it coming out of our colons when we detox.
Oh my gosh. That blew my mind. And day 10 even.
Yeah.
Day 10, I was like, do I need to keep being like, do I need another 10 days?
Yeah, eventually. And day 10's the best because you're all the way over in that right hip pocket.
Yeah.
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 So boom. I'm so proud of you. You did so good.
I appreciate the gift. It was such a gift.
It is so phenomenal to know you and to know the energy that you bring to this world and the momentum that you have when you take a step in those feet. Like, you have such a driving force of a life inside of you. And it's really cool to know you and to be able to connect and absorb and the information and knowledge that you have and what it takes to become an ultra marathon triathlete winner, professional winner at races that are really hard. I can't even imagine. I started running for the first time this year.
Yes.
And I'll do a mile.
Don't say just.
I'll be like, okay, I can do a mile. Yeah, I'll do
it. It's more than you were doing.
And I'm like, amazing. It feels amazing.
Right?
But yeah, I didn't run before really at all because my parents were marathon runners.
That's right.
We talked about this. Mm-hmm. My parents were marathon runners. They ran together. They always loved it. And because of that, I was always just like, no, I'm good. I don't need to run marathons. But you
funny?
Really...
You saw that pain. You're like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And I saw the pain and I'm like, why do I want that?
Why do I want that? So it's really neat to just, see you. And it encourages me. And so I'm sure it encourages everyone around you so much. I just love it. Thank you so much for being on the show and the podcast. And
absolutely.
Is there anything else we need to discuss or talk about? Because you're just so good. I could go all day talking about things with you.
I would actually love to know how often you would recommend somebody do this cleanse. As I know not everyone is as crazy of a runner as I am.
Yeah.
But for something like this with my racing and stuff, I'm like, oh, how can I tie in another 10 days? For me, before I was injured, so I wasn't able to run. Now I'm like, I'm going. 23 miles last night on the treadmill,
Oh
and
my
like just like
gosh.
how am I going to do that just on fruit? But I'd love to do it again. So like,
Yeah.
where would your insights to that?
Okay,
be?
so you were saying like day 10 was even your best, right? You're at the going, you're like, oh my gosh, should I keep going?
Yes.
So that
yes.
if your body felt like, oh, I should even do a few more days of that, like, right, you could have kind of even kept going on there, but
Okay.
intuitively felt. I think for you, a good 4 times a year would be really optimal
Really?
if you could. I think it will be for you too, because your body is addicted to processed sugars. I think if we can switch your body to natural sugars, like glucose, fructose, and get your body fueled in that way, you'll actually be able to convert more energy.
Okay.
But it will just take a little transition period for you. And in finding
And that transition, you feel your fitness kind of.
it's for me when I experience it and I'm detoxing and I keep working out and I want to push, I feel it most in my heart and lungs.
Okay.
That and it's almost like breathing in more. We're breathing in more carbon dioxide, I think, at that point. And at that point, the body has to try to regulate the stress, and it will do a better job at it ultimately, bringing in more carbon dioxide, as you know, as a runner, and then trying to maintain the nervous system and bringing that stress down. I think while we work out and then we change the diet, it's just really observing like those shifts and like, okay, I'm going to take it a little easy today because, my parasites, bacteria, and other things are dying off right now as I shift and switch, but I want to keep working out. And just, it's really like the mindset and emotional processing because you are really optimal, having optimal fuel in your body with you as long as you having your vitamins, minerals, and the things that you need, and you don't need the fake sugars, the processed foods. Then at that point, it's letting the things die off and really trying to convert and refueling and using. So, but it's going to be trial and error, I think, for you for a second, and knowing like, okay, I know this fuels
like
me.
How soon to a race or.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? Like,
I would recommend slowly starting to switch diet. Like tonight I'm going to eat this instead and see how I feel in the morning. But, I would just slowly start to switch some things.
But what about a cleanse? Like say I've got a 100-miler in 2 weeks. Pretend I'm not doing this other 100 in between.
Okay.
Would it be too soon? Like if I did one tomorrow?
No.
For 10 days. But even though my race is like 3 days after that.
So for me, I don't think so. I think you would have more energy.
Really? Okay.
But that's because I think you're really good emotionally. You're conscious. You're there. Your body's really good. I think someone who's really toxic and maybe, isn't processing their emotions, I think that might be really hard for them.
Okay.
But
so
I feel
it
for
varies
you.
on the person.
I feel
interesting.
Yeah. And
it's crazy. I love it.
Okay.
So
and like the emotion that comes to you instantly is happiness. Like I can see but when you're upset, do you go to sadness first or do you go to anger?
Sad.
Okay. Oh, I love that. You're so sweet.
Is that a good?
There's no good or bad in that. Like
really?
I instantly will go to anger, but then I go to sadness after because I realize, so it's just kind of different. Yeah. So I think for you, since you go to sadness first, it's going to be interesting to see. Because for me, when I need something, I'll get like angry, right? But if you're detoxing and you get sad, there just might be some emotions you need to cry out and cry about. The being wanted and being like wanted the love all the time. That's ultimately what gets me angry, and then grieving is when I don't feel loved.
Okay.
So I mean that like you could go into.
So interesting. I am fascinated. Like this is so outside of my element.
Yes.
That when you came up to me and I was just like, no, I need to say yes. Say yes.
You felt
and
it.
I just feel like it was you. There was some draw that, you came over to connect with that. Yeah. Even though we were friends before, it was just like, wait, I want to feel like I want to do this for you. And I was like,
well, and I
need to say yes.
I could feel there was so much that you had to do. Like, I don't know. There was just so much that you were like, but I'm injured. And this can't happen right now. And I was like, I can help you. I just really felt so strong.
Because it's not just because it's like, I love racing. It's also my job.
Yes.
Like I had a few gigs lined up. I'm like, what if I can't do this? Like
how much stress is that even, right?
Yeah. And my husband, he's always an entrepreneur, but I am the breadwinner right now.
Yeah.
And so, and I love that. I love that he can be at home and go play pickleball and stuff. And I don't want him to find a job like.
And he's your pacer.
What if
he's your person.
Well, I
to do
know.
all
I'm
that
like,
thing.
what if I can't go work? Okay, racing, I could. It's fine. But what if I can't go work? Which my work doesn't feel like a job. But
was that one of the biggest stressors you
it
were
was
processing
definitely
during?
my biggest stress of like. I knew something was coming up and I'd have to run every single day for, for this gig. And I'm limping, I'm on camera, and it's, it's already set. I've already signed the contract and they'd have to find somebody else. And that doesn't pay me still so I'm like,
that's a big stress.
It was scary.
Yeah.
It was scary because it was a pain I had never felt.
Yeah. And now
racing, I'm like, okay, that'll all come back, whatever.
Yeah.
But work, I need to work.
Yeah.
Even though they would have been understanding, I didn't want them to find somebody else.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it.
Like, no,
it's
I can
my job.
do this.
This is my
we
job.
Can heal. Okay.
So, and you did. We did. And I was able to do that gig. Pain-free, limp-free.
Yeah.
Like you would have never guessed that
Good.
just a few weeks before I was limping.
What was the gig?
So it was in New York. I was doing a big thing for iFit.
Cool.
For a big store they put up in with Hoka and
I
Hoka
saw
Run. Anyway,
that on
it
your
was super fun.
Instagram.
And
that was
had
fun.
to run every day for a few times, and
wow, and you did great.
No pain,
I
pain.
love it.
It's back to myself.
Heck yeah, girl.
Yeah, that was,
Okay.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You for aligning, connecting, and trusting that we can get out the worms, parasites, and the little alien creatures inside of us.
Like the
and
things.
heal our tissue.
I asked Erin, I was like, are these mine? What? There was some crazy stuff that came out of me. These weren't, but.
These ones aren't Ashley's, but
oh my.
I got sent a couple pictures, I think, from your colonic side. I was like, yes, thank you. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, I'm so glad that you healed. And I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing. And I'm happy that you've been on the show. Thank you, everyone, who is watching, listening. Ashley's incredible. And Ash, if anyone wants to find you, connect to you, follow you, and see your journey, where do they go? I'm on Instagram. It's Ash Kickin'. Ash Kickin'. Yep. And same thing with TikTok, but there's a one. I don't really post on TikTok. I'm still like learning that. And they can find you on iFit. iFit as well. Cool. Yes. You can can people personal train with you? I always wonder that. Oh, on iFit? No, or just I do one-on-one coaching, but not very many athletes because I really like to just. I know something would give if I took on a ton of athletes. So you just it would be my training or my family or them, and so I keep that very limited to a one-on-one. But all of them are virtual. None of them live close. So very cool. Wow. Write about programs and have calls, and I wish I could have them all, but I can't. Yeah. That's incredible. Good work. It's fun. I love it. And your next ultra is when? Next weekend is Black Canyon, and the following weekend is Jackpot. And those are both 100 miles? One is 100K, and then the next day is 50K. How much is 100K? How many miles is that? 62. And then the next day is 30. So it is 100 in the 2 days. Oh my gosh. 100 miles. And then the next one's the following Friday. Wow. So is that ideal? No. Don't do as I do. My body's used to these miles. And it's ideal for you. Yeah. Right? For me. Yeah, for you. Me. That's amazing. Ideal. So as long as the hip stays happy, and she's been happy. So. Yeah. And we know how to detox now. So exactly. Yeah. We know what to do. Keep Come back after that and, start round 2. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and much love. Mwah. Bye guys. Thanks, Erin. That was great. Yeah. Thank you. That was so good.